money, money, money. Money, money, money. We got that Fly Nubian money. We talk about that money. We all about that money. Money, 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 money. We got that Fly Nubian money. We talk about that money. We all about that money. We love our black skin, our melanin, always focusing in on that money. We always win, money never thin, 'cause we hustling, always focusing in money, 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 money. We got that money, 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 money. We have Fly Nubian money, boss talk, money, we stack it up.
I'm muted. What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? I was muted. And we back. What's up? Hey, ladies.
What's up?
Oh my
What's
God.
up?
I am so
How's
excited. Back. What's crack-a-lackin' Big Mackins? Listen, today, this is the Fly Nubian Money, where we help you to master your mindset and maximize your what? Your money. Okay. So today we're going to talk about black businesses and whether identifying a company or an organization as black can actually affect how big people believe it can be. Earn Your Leisure co-founder Rashad Bilal recently made headlines after pushing back against InvestFest being described as a black conference. InvestFest was created by black entrepreneurs and has built a massive following within the black community. But Rashad says it shouldn't be defined as a black event. He sees it as a major financial conference that is designed to attract people from all backgrounds. Now, that got me thinking about the way we label black-owned businesses in general. We encourage black people to start businesses. We support black businesses and create institutions that serve our community. But once those businesses begin to grow, there can be pressure to broaden the brand so it doesn't appear to be only for black people. It's nothing unusual about a company knowing exactly who its core customer is. Businesses target women, Latinos, Christians, millennials, parents, luxury consumers, and countless other groups every single day. Somehow, though, when a company is closely associated with black consumers, the word black can sometimes make people view it as a niche rather than the mainstream. So I want to use Rashad's comments as a starting point for a much bigger business conversation today. Queens, let me ask you guys a question. Does being labeled a black business limit how big people believe your business can become? So first, I want to ask, now y'all know if you guys ever come on here, if you ever see us live and y'all ain't seen me in a few months, they ain't called me. That's basically what happened. But
we ain't been here. We ain't been here. I had his directing you, girl.
They ain't called me. They haven't called me. They kicked me out, but then they just invited me back. Just so y'all can know. Anyway, Tiara. This is Tiara. This is Miss Black Hollywood. What's happening, Tiara? All the way from Los Angeles, California. And then we have Miss Marla Layson all the way from the dirty South of Baton Rouge. Is that how y'all say it? Baton Rouge.
Definitely not Baton. Definitely not Baton Rouge.
You got to go a little more north
New Orleans.
south.
New Orleans.
Well, I'm from New Orleans, but I am currently in Shreveport. They call it the port city, the ratchet city. They call it
the ratchet yes. Shreveport. I love it. So this conversation is very interesting because I had a lot of opinions and I didn't speak really about it, publicly because I know some of the guys over there at Earn Your Leisure and whatnot. And so I definitely I have an opinion. But before I start, Ms. Marlo, I want to know what you think about this whole idea of labeling a business black. Does it limit your business?
I don't know that it limits your business, but I will say this is not the first black business owner that I know who wants to not, in their minds, limit it to a black conference or a black business. I work for a hair care company, a beauty company for several years, and the owner did not want to be pigeonholed as black. Like, she wanted us to get mainstream media. Essence, Ebony, all of that was fine, but she wanted us in Women's Health. She wanted us in Vanity Fair. She wanted us wherever we could be seen by the maximum number of people. So it is not an odd practice at all. But I don't know if it's limiting. You seem to be doing all right, Constance.
Yeah. Let me ask you, Miss Tiara, does
Yeah.
being labeled black limit your business?
With my name being Miss Black Hollywood, I like to go. It's so funny because even when I decided to name myself Miss Black Hollywood, I often tell the story. I happened to be talking to Oprah Winfrey about it, and she was like, "Why would you name yourself Miss Black Hollywood? It's going to limit your reach." And I said, "Well, I just want to walk into a room and they know what I represent. Especially being in Hollywood, and not represent in a way that's like discriminatory against anybody else, but also just saying like, listen, I'm here for the blacks." And she didn't seem to like that. She thought that in Hollywood that was very limiting, and to me, just her stopping and us having that conversation, and her being so passionate about it, to the point where Ava DuVernay was like, "Okay, well, name yourself Miss Black Hollywood, sis. Come on, Oprah, we gotta go." It was kind of like that. And so yeah, so I while it's so interesting because hip hop has done what it has been able to do, what it's been doing. And I know we ain't getting into this whole conversation yet, but it feels like black is the culture. Black is everybody.
The
We are
blueprint.
the blueprint. We are the influence. So it's so surprising that for whatever reason, once people get to a certain level, they be like, you know what, we don't need the blacks anymore. We need everybody. And I think it's unfortunate because they build off the blacks first. They're loved by home first, and then we go ahead, you can do it, and then they go and then they forget that they ever had a home with us at all.
And that's exactly how I feel. I feel like, okay, you started based on black people only. And I don't feel that being black limits anything. I believe that a niche is very important. You get rich in your niche. If you advertise to everybody, then you advertise to nobody. You got to know specifically. When I think about who my target is, I'm specifically talking to a specific demographic of black people. For me, specifically black women. And so it's just like, it reminds me of UPN. UPN built their whole network off of black people, all black shows. And then when they got to where they got that money and them advertising dollars, they moved away from black programming. It's the same with CW. And so when I hear Rashad Bilal say that, it pissed me off to the highest festivity, because, and then I seen a lot of people giving him a pass saying, oh, he's just venting, he's just upset. My thing is this. You got 30,000 motherfuckers that came to Invest Fest. You got 30,000 people, 98% of them black, that came, and you are mad at the 2 or 3 or 10 detractors who talk about it's because let's be real. We know that some people who have been on the stage have been scammers before. Yes, but your whole festival or your whole conference is not made up of scammers. You're gonna have detractors. Everybody who's in the spotlight knows if you are big enough and people are going to talk about you. It comes with the territory. I ain't even big and people talk shit about me. I get nigger bitches all up in my DMs all the time. So like if that was to bother me, then I might as well go sit my ass down somewhere. You are getting paid millions of dollars from InvestFest. And you mad because a couple of people said that y'all scammers, and now you want to move away from black being a black conference. It really annoyed me. But let me ask you this, Marlo. When you heard him say that, what was your first reaction?
Well, my first reaction was that he was looking for big advertisers, right? I thought that for a coming InvestFest, we'll see some type of partnership with maybe like an AI company or some other major either tech or investment firm. And so that's why he needed to start this conversation of walking back who InvestFest is for. But you can't tell me that it's not a black conference when you got Killer Mike up there, you got T.I. up there, you got Steve Harvey, you got all of these array of black wealthy people is who you put on stage to lure people to buy tickets. So that part of it felt like BS. But then also he did come back and say, look, I was looking at the comments, maybe I shouldn't have been. I felt some type of way because of what people were saying. And it's like you said, you have to be prepared for that, right? The more you put yourself in that white hot light, the more people will take shots at you just because. And you know, the bottom line is some of those people probably never even been to Invest
Never been.
Fest, never
Exactly.
bought a ticket for it, right? Have never looked at the lineup to talk about the workshops or the breakout sessions or any of that to see how that could improve their lives. So I think it was a misstep for him for sure.
I saw way more positive comments than I saw negative comments. Way more. So he was really zeroing in on the negativity because I seen a lot of good shit with Invest Fest. What did you think when you first heard his response, Tiara?
Um, okay, so with him already having issues with Atlanta, him having issues in Atlanta, him having issues with backing, I just think that he was feeling some type of way already, right? There's already something brewing. I'm not having the support of a major black city, and so I think like just emotionally, he was probably already revved up from just like his overall experience. And so thinking I'm just going to go in a different direction. Black people don't appreciate it anyway, that kind of thing. There's something about, and if we are being honest, it's like working with black people is a joy for us, but it's definitely like it has to be a labor of love. You have to love to work with black people because just the way sometimes like you can work your hardest to serve them, sometimes they don't love you back. Most of them do though. I think that's why, but there is sometimes where the same people that you're trying to help are the same people um
Of
that will talk
course.
harshly against you. So I think you just have to have that built skin where you're like, okay, my people gonna talk about me, but everybody gonna talk about me. But particularly black people will criticize one another, especially in the space of business. I mean, often we have the conversation where, people are like, that's why I'm doing business with black business, even though I hate that. Right. But I just wanted to lay that on the ground. Like sometimes it can be hard and hurtful and
Right.
to deal with some people, the same people that you're trying to help.
Listen. I just told you about a situation that I was in just recently where a bunch of black people came together to try to invest in something, and then the investment didn't work out, and so it was exactly that. Here's an opportunity for black people to make some money, to do this, to do that, and then it didn't come through, and so now the black folks is mad, and they mad at you because they didn't get the return that they thought that they were going to get. But understand that, listen, this was something that we all wanted to do together. So I understand that very thing, because black people will be the first to say, now if everything went well, it's great. But then when it doesn't, then they black folks, it is really hard trying to help people, especially when you're in a place where you're trying to help people. But Marlo, do you feel like, because I heard some people say that they feel like Rashad and them was getting too big for their britches.
I think that, they went on the Breakfast Club and they talked about a very not sexy topic, and they got a whole lot of attention for it. It's hard for financial, usually the Breakfast Club is rappers or entertainers, and it's people that have chaos in their lives. Something as foundational as getting your money together usually isn't that sexy when it comes to clicks. So the fact that they went on the Breakfast Club, they really upped their visibility with that visit on the Breakfast Club. It's it's odd to see them because so much of the conversation in promoting it is helping black people, helping black people. I want black people, black millionaires. And then to turn around and just completely forget all the people who have vouched for you and said, man, I got my money together because of them. Like, they're the reason. They helped me so much. I learned so much going to the fest and just watching their podcasts and all of this. So it's kind of disappointing that the people with that high level intelligence would have that become that emotional in a moment. But Tierra touched on the initial issue, which was with the city of Atlanta, and the city not recognizing the fact that they did bring 30,000 people to the city of Atlanta. That's no small feat, especially if it's not in the city budget, right? That's sales tax, that's hotels, that's food, restaurants, gift shops. Everybody is making money at that point. And so I guess it's kind of started with the city not acknowledging the amount of money that that festival brings into the city. And then it just spun out of control with people that needed clicks on the EYL hashtag.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like, but Atlanta, I mean, InvestFest is a bear in and of itself. No doubt about that. But it's a financial literacy workshop or conference in Atlanta every week. So, and, I mean, Atlanta is the land of conferences. They are not short of people wanting to do a conference there. Would you consider Tierra InvestFest to be a black conference? Do you think it's a black conference?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, their first investor was not Steve Harvey, no. I mean, the way who they've been. When I look through their comments, when I look through the comments on their shows, a lot of there's black people who are watching who say, "Earn Your Leisure has changed my life." Right,
Mhm.
right up there with Dr. Boyce. Right, Earn Your Leisure has changed the way I think about finance, and I think that was the intent. Like I said, though, you do get you earn a certain level of success, and for whatever reason, and I don't know what that is. Maybe I wish Dr. Felice was here so we could talk about the psychological part of that, where it's like, at what point don't you want to be connected to your people? And I hear you, Marlo, when you're talking about like advertising dollars, but it's so crazy that hip hop, again, I'm going to keep bringing up hip hop because hip hop has traveled the world, right? Hip hop is, and just black culture in general has proven time and time again that our stories, that our culture matters. And for whatever reason, it's just like once we start to think about it, and black people spend, I mean, we spend money. We don't I think this spending in finance is something that we've grown, and being like interested in this has been something I think that I've seen like a a like
Increase,
a,
an uptick, an
thank
increase.
you. An uptick. That's what I was thinking. An uptick in just awareness and progressiveness and us wanting to do that. So I just saw that. So I think we still have ways to go, and we're still finding our way. But I think that's part of it. Like just for whatever reason we want to do away with after we make it. And I don't
Which
know.
is crazy because you think about InvestFest. So I got, because I know someone in InvestFest, I got like a VIP. They invited me VIP and all that stuff, and I didn't go because that's not my thing. So it was built on like a hip hop foundation. That's what brings all the people there. Is Diddy's there, 50 Cent's there, Rick Ross, like all the biggest names in hip hop have been there. So when they first came out, they first had Dame Dash on there. That's kind of what made them go viral initially. They got that big fish interview with Steve Harvey. He became an investor in InvestFest, and it went from a couple of thousand to now we're 20,000, 10,000, 20,000, 30,000. So you get that big injection from somebody like Steve Harvey. Now, what started happening? Now they're getting introduced to not millionaires, but billionaires. Now they're rubbing elbows with the billionaires. Now, and not just black billionaires, white billionaires. Now they're in a whole different room with a different set of people. Now it's like, InvestFest is not for black people. This is not what I want. That's what it looks like to me. We base it on our foundation on this is how we getting people in the room. And just like you said, Tierra, black culture is the motherfucking blueprint. Dog. Black culture is, I mean, we got $2 trillion of spending power. We spend money. Everybody wants to be like us. Everybody bases everything on black people and black culture. But when we do it, it's a problem. Everybody else reps their culture unapologetically. Why do we have to apologize for being black? You don't have to cater to everybody. My shit is not for everybody. Not that anybody could take my information and utilize it and get money. But my information is specifically for black people. Specifically. And I'm unapologetic about it. It doesn't mean I'm anti anybody else. Just because you're pro-black, it does not mean you're anti anybody else. Jewish people, they say, listen, we don't do business with nobody else unless we cannot absolutely find anybody in our community to do business with. They're unapologetic about that shit, Marlo. But as soon as a black person opens their mouth and say it, there's a problem. Why do we have to be so? And it's not about being exclusive to just being black. It's not even about that. But it's nothing wrong with being black first. Because when you look at us, on everything bad, we're at the top. On everything good, we're at the bottom. We need that extra boost. Everybody else is doing it for their community. Everybody else is injecting in their community. Why is it a problem for us, Marlo?
Ooh, I mean, it's so many folds to it, right? One is propaganda. I think that for whatever reason, I don't know what it was, but I think that there was negative propaganda that was done against InvestFest, right? I think that they got swept up in a propaganda campaign that they didn't realize that's what it was. I think that, which leads him, right, to lean into more black propaganda, which is, oh, it ain't for black folks because it's for them because they, you know, they can get in, or whatever he said that was like a little slight to black people, right, when he did his initial response. And I just feel like the programming works. The programming, the 3 or 4 or 6, however many hundreds of years the programming was for, it has taken and it worked. And that is why we trust the white money better than we trust the black money. That is why the white visionary seems more like a visionary than the black visionary. That is why it's okay for us to tear each other down, right? People run to the internet to tell you about their bad experience with a black business, but Wendy's won't give them all their fries and the fries be cold, but they keep going back. And they never get on the internet to talk shit about the Wendy's fries, ever, 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 right? It's just we are programmed in a way that other people are not. And it's always taking shape, and we always see it. We see it right now going on in the WNBA. Predominantly black women play that sport. Now we got all of this shit about transgender this. And the one transgender that ever has had any affiliation with the league transitioned into a man many years ago. She ain't even in the league no more, and she was not a...
The tall girl, the one that went to prison in Russia.
No, not her. Not her. This predates Brittany Griner's career even. So people are so off, right? You're so busy worried about one thing, and we always buy the propaganda. And that's part of what the issue is. We don't recognize propaganda when it's targeting us until it's too late. And when we do realize it, we feel some type of way about it. So well, he could have been eating the children. It's like, shut the fuck up. Listen, read a book, touch some grass, get out these internet circles, and start to examine why you don't want to be kind and good to people who look like you, but you love a master. You need to do some digging on that. That's some self-reflection that needs to be done, and it needs to be done across the community.
It's self-hating Negro type shit, Marlo. It's self-hating. Let me ask you this, Tara. Why is black culture considered mainstream when everybody else do it? When everybody else profits from it? But when we do it, it's limited. It's niche when we do it. But it's mainstream when everybody else is doing it. Why is that?
Is there a feedback, or can you hear me well?
There's feedback, but go ahead.
There's feedback?
Yeah, but we can hear you good. You're fine.
Okay. Sometimes that means just mute yourselves. Just mute y'all. Is that better? That's better.
Nope.
No? Even when you guys are muted? You can't? All right. Anyway, I'm sorry.
It's like room tone. It's like something in your room.
Yeah, but we can hear you. You're fine.
Okay. All right. Cool. One more time. So why is it that when other people consider black people mainstream, we can't? There's something about being able to see, something about seeing yourself, right? Something about looking over and not seeing your sister or your brother. It's like seeing a family member that is doing well and then being like, they ain't even all that. Like, they ain't even, and that is part of programming, right? There's something about our culture. We've been taught that, and we know that. Like, we already know what that is, but we drank that Kool-Aid where it's like, you can't see your brother and you can't see the culture and think it's more than, like you said, Constance, black culture is the blueprint. Unfortunately, when it's us doing it with one another, we've been programmed to think otherwise. And we're still feeling that. We're going to have a conversation this week about Masterpiece, and we need to forget about slavery. But I think that there's a part of that's that's it, right? Like there's this part where we've been damaged and influenced, and we feel like, we've been influenced by that, and we can't see that and make that connection.
That's the thing. And when you talk about us being mainstream, listen, our music is global. Our fashion is global. Our language is global. How we talk, how we speak, our swag, it sells. Our athletes, our entertainers, like we influence the world. Why is it a problem, Marlo, when we do it? Why is it considered like a bad thing when we own that shit? When everybody else owns it, it's cool. And they're making trillions of dollars off of it.
Extraction. They can't, if they can't extract from it, then they have to detract from it. That's it. If
Whoa,
they can't,
whoa. Say that shit again.
if they cannot extract from it, they got to detract from it. If they feel like there's nothing in it for them, then there can't be anything in it for you. So they're going to talk it down, right? That's why if you pay attention, we're in a little bit of a hip hop backlash, right? We're in this little bit of, is rap still relevant, right? Like, we always go in waves. We always go in waves in this country. And they have been always able to extract. Now we in the AI wave where the extraction is different, right? The extraction is my words online, Tiara's words online, other people's words online, is your words online, Constance, being glommed together for somebody to put something together that's art without any of our consent, without any of our permission. And it just is, right? And that's the new wave that we are in, the new wave of extraction. Once the internet got here, people were like, you know what? You can't extract from me no more because I'd rather get 20,000 streams on my website. I'd rather get 500,000 downloads on my website, have that money all come directly to me and be able to pay it out and engage with my audience as I want. The same with filmmakers. People started making small projects and putting them on YouTube and putting them on Vimeo and other platforms where they could monetize it themselves. And now we're in a situation where AI is easier, right? And so it's just always going to be some kind of way that somebody is trying to extract what Black people have. It has been going on, slave owners used to lease their slaves. That's why we can't forget about it, Master P. We can't forget about it, Master P, because that is where the extraction began. And so we cannot identify it as extraction if we don't understand that it has been ongoing for centuries. And so, I love Master P down. We both from the 504. We both from Uptown, but I'm not rocking with that shit. I'm not saying we need to hold on to slavery as a crutch, but we need to remember how we got here.
Absolutely. If we don't know where we've been, we can't know where we going. Like, we got to know why we are where we are. We got to understand. Otherwise, we going to have low self-esteem because we going to wonder, why the fuck is everything that we do bad and everything, like all the good, we're at the bottom of all the good stuff. We got to understand where we've been so we can understand where we are so we can know how to navigate where we're going, right? I mean, that just makes common sense to me, to you, but I don't understand why not to Master P. It would be great to have him on here. But you did say something that I thought about while you were talking, Marlo, about like when you have now you have ownership, now you have these sponsorships, and Dr. Boyce is always very clear. I don't want nobody to be sponsoring my shit because then they have ownership. Do you think, Tiara, that may have influenced how they move in? Is because now they have all of these major sponsors and now they can't really talk. Let me tell you something. When I was in California, I owned this commercial building, right? And back then, California is a little different than being out here in PG County, which everything is black, all black, all black, right? So I owned this beautiful commercial building. And when I would invite people, when people would come to the tour of the building, it was beautiful. I would say, this is for us, right? And I couldn't say what I wanted to say, but I would say, this is for us, right? When I came here, my friend Emmett Peace, he had bought a building the same year I did. His building was 10 times bigger than mine or 8 times bigger than mine. Beautiful building. And when I went to his building and it was beautiful, he's in real estate also, he said, this is for Black people. Very unapologetic, very different than how I was able to say in California, this is for us. He said, this is for Black people. And I love that shit. So he's able to do that because he don't got no sponsors or anybody that's writing the checks. Do you think, Tiara, that perhaps that may influence the way they move?
I think so. I mean, it also, Marlo and I talked about this a couple days ago. When you think about the way Black people are in this situation, like educated, we talked about this. the way the things that we value, right? You need those sponsorship dollars if you got people that are complaining about $125 tickets, right? Or if you have basic information, you just there giving the information. But sometimes we need a little entertainment, right? We need the Steve Harveys, we need the Master P's and the TIs and all of that for the entertainment part. So I just want, and I'm just putting this on the table too. It's like if we can they sell it out without all of those names? Can they sell it to black people? Can you still have people come out? You can have a billionaire on stage and they be like, Robert who? Where is Beyonce? Right? Can we sell out and still just appreciate the information? I guess that's my question. If not, then I think you do need those sponsors.
Absolutely. Nicole said, "Why couldn't I say my building was for black people when it was in California? Because California is a different type of demographic. You have to be very inclusive. You can't be as unapologetically black in California as you could be anywhere else. That's my take. I was born and raised there, and that's just how it is. Very, very inclusive. But from your point, it is very, very hip hop because it was built on that foundation of having all those celebrities. And then Boyce also said, like, Breakfast Club, initially, and Melanie Fiona said that this morning too. Not this morning, maybe it was yesterday, but she on Hollywood Unlocked, she said, you think that these celebrities got money when they be on the Breakfast Club and they be doing all this media? They got to pay for that shit. You got to pay to play. So getting on the Breakfast Club and getting on all these podcasts, you got to actually pay to be on there to really promote your stuff. So when they had that big injection, and then that they had from Steve Harvey, that was it. Now you have the introduction to all the other people. So, but do you think that it cheapens it or it waters it down when it's like when it's so focused on that hip hop culture? Or, all the rappers and the 50 Cents and the Diddies and all that stuff? What are they contributing to it, Marlo?
I think that it just draws a crowd that you don't want. I think it draws a crowd of people that are there to see celebrities, and they're going to get online and say, I ain't getting nothing from Invest Fest because I ain't even get a picture with T.I., right? Like, I think that's who your event draws when you have this lineup of rappers and all these, celebrity people. Obviously, people have made great investments, right? Steve Harvey has done well for himself. Killer Mike has done well for himself. T.I., and the list goes on and on. But I don't know that when you have the celebrity element versus when you have Robert, I don't even know who that is, right? You are attracting a different audience. The people who know Robert, I don't know who that is, and the people that know T.I., there's some overlap there, but it's not a whole lot. And so I think that depending on, so that's why I said I called a little bit of BS on him saying that it wasn't a black event, because why you got all these black rappers up there? Who are you trying to draw, right? You actually are fishing, hoping you could get out of a fan base. If you get 100 people, hopefully you could get 5 people to do something or upgrade or whatever the case may be. So yeah, I think sadly you have to have it, to close out 30,000 people in the Georgia Convention Center. But also I think it just draws people that you don't necessarily want, who aren't really your target audience for your event.
What do you think, Tiara? Do you think that it waters it down when you have all those hip hop people a part of it?
Like Marlo said, I think it really just depends on who you want, right? Do you want the youth? Here's the thing. Here's really the smart thing about having like T.I. and those types of, because we grew up on them, right? We all flying to Vegas to see Jeezy, like, so it's appealing to us, the 40, 50-year-olds, but also those rappers are still relevant. So I wonder if you're trying to cast the net and really get a wide range of people. You are trying to educate. Again, it really just depends on the mission. My mission is to get young black people, older black people, and so I'm going to bring these people. But I don't feel like it cheapens. I think they have perspective for sure. right? It really just depends on what type of story you're trying to tell. Like, what is the story? You too can become Ti or like that, or if we're talking about investments outside of hip hop, right? I think that they're talking about, the other things that they've done, not just the fact that they're rappers. So I don't think it necessarily cheapens it, but it does make it very very black. I'll just say that. It makes it very, very black.
It makes it very black. I will say this. I think it's probably a necessary evil, right? So, because I think it does cast that net, and you're going to get the detractors, but you're also going to pull some people in who may have never been exposed to this. When I first moved to DC, I went to a NAREB thing at the Howard Theater. It was the State of Black Finance or something like that, or State of Black Housing in America or something like that. It's at the Howard Theater. Howard Theater's pretty big. It's a theater. It might have been 25% full. Maybe 2 weeks later or 4 weeks later, Earn Your Leisure came. It was sold out, packed, right? And I'm looking, and these young sisters and brothers, they in their 20s and 30s, they got notebooks. They are like locked in. And let me tell you something. Rashad and Troy, they're not even animated. They're very monotone. I was falling asleep. And it's not a diss to them. Cause like I need when I'm on the stage, I'm like using the whole stage. They're sitting there and they're talking and these people are listening to every word they're saying. And again, this is not a diss. This is their style. This is how they communicate. This is how they wasn't entertaining nobody. They weren't there was nothing. So I was just looking around. I'm to all the merch sold out, everything. They have fans. So they made an impact. This other thing I was at the week before, like I said, 25% of the whole theater was filled. This was standing room only at the Howard Theater with Earn Your Leisure. They had a couple of other people that came, but it wasn't like anything that I would for me, because I've been going to conferences or speaking at conferences for years. It wasn't anything mind blowing, but it did affect these people and it opened their eyes to something I think that's different. What do you think, Marlo?
I think it's true. I mean, they definitely have just your homeboys' communication style. I mean, I think that's what caught my attention initially in catching their clips was just that their communication style was very direct. It was very easy to understand. It didn't seem like they were talking over my head. So I totally understand that. And I think that you cannot underestimate the power of, the click culture that we're in, that click culture where people are able to see and learn things in a short window of time, and your information is compelling enough for them to want to learn more, right? Go to your website, go to your YouTube, watch your entire podcast in its entirety. So I think that I'm not surprised that young people were there, which is why this only makes me curious as to why won't they just do a road show, right? Why won't you put yourself in smaller rooms with people who absolutely want that information that you're giving, and you're able to touch more cities, and you don't have to worry about this, getting called a grifter and, getting into it with people who feel like you dissing a city, even though they don't understand how sales tax works in cities, right? They don't understand how contracts work and what it means to bring 30,000 people to a city where those 30,000 people weren't there yesterday. So instead of doing that, maybe you do something smaller, but everybody want to be big. Everybody want to be major. That's another part of the culture, is like being able to say, I'm the biggest.
That maybe they should try to do it a different way. Maybe they should take it out of Atlanta. Maybe they should do something different. Or do you think this is a formula that works? And for everybody that's watching, what are your thoughts? Do you think, first of all, let me ask you, do you think Rashad was wrong? Or do you think that he was just venting? That's a question I want to know, because a lot of the people in the comments, when I saw the video, everybody was giving him a pass. 98% of them was giving a pass. It was a couple of people that was like, nah, dude, no. But so what are your thoughts for the people who are here watching this? Do you think he was wrong? Or do you think he was just venting and you're giving him a pass? That's what I want to ask the audience. But for you, Tiara, do you think that maybe possibly they should take it on the road? Maybe they should do something different, change it up?
I feel like whatever is not broke. I mean, if it's not broke, right? I know he was complaining and fussing, but they did make a lot of money, right? Let's not act like it wasn't a successful event. If you go anywhere and there's 30,000 people there, and you're able to sell out, you've done well. Now, Marlo said something else that's like everybody want to be the big dog, but I feel like as long as your spirit is right, like you can show, as long as your spirit is right about it, right? Like, I want to serve Black people, and showing them becoming big dogs is inspiration, right? It represents the idea that you too can start with something, as Constance says, that's kind of, it's just information. They ain't gonna entertain and be like, this is this, they're not doing all of that. They're just giving you the information, and they're changing lives. So I would just say, if they are okay with representing the idea that we educate Black people and we've helped thousands, if not millions of people become millionaires, that's a flex. It's okay. That's okay. Right. But it's the energy, and it's your perspective behind it, Rashad. Like, what is that? Is that okay? Is that enough for you, or do you need more? And so I think that would be my question. Like, it's just the intention. They've done well, but if they want to go from city to city, I guess they definitely can do that, but they've proven they don't need to do that.
Because they had the beef with the mayor in Atlanta, they were saying, take it somewhere else. Go to Houston. Houston has a big Black population. Go here. And one of the things that they were also saying, and I don't know if anybody in the audience noticed, but they were saying these brothers are from New York. They're not really immersed in the Atlanta culture, but they want to come and be culture vultures, Atlanta culture vultures, and just kind of take and extract from Atlanta. This is what I see, but obviously they're given because they're bringing revenue to the city. But that's one of the complaints that I've seen that happen, is they're not immersed in the culture. Maybe they should come and spend some time in Atlanta. You just want to go out there and then you want to complain and you want, the mayor to do a bunch of stuff. What are your thoughts around that, Marlo?
Well, I think it's these dealing with government entities is always a thing, right? And I think that being in a city right now where our city is enamored with a celebrity personality, to the tune of, I don't know what's going on, but I understand that there's just a thing about celebrity. There's a thing about famous people. There's a thing about proximity. And I think that the issue with EYL is that they aren't really famous or notable, right? They themselves are niche. You have to be in that world of like seeking financial information and information about financial growth to run across their content. So I think that the mayor of Atlanta could have, and the city of Atlanta, whoever is in charge of conventions and all of that stuff, could have been tracking the growth of this conference and see it grow year over year. It's getting bigger. And I think that they could have, been a little bit more conciliatory about a conference that is coming and bringing money in a time when a lot of times when you're in the South, people stop traveling to the South in the summertime. We really come in deep in the South, June, July, August, because it's so hot. So anytime a conference or an event comes to a city in the South, when it is our time, when we all are absorbing all the AC we can find, I think that there is a little bit of give and go that the city should and could give. But I think, they don't have the prominence, the facial recognition of some of the celebrities that they work with. So I think that posed a bit of an issue for them. And it's like you said, Atlanta got 1 million financial conferences and 500,000 those are involving scammers, right? So the city might also they might be leery about aligning themselves with people and they don't necessarily know who they are or what they're hawking, because once they put that city of Atlanta seal on any type of communications, it changes the game. So dealing with cities is a rough go, guys. And if you want that relationship, it's a two-way street you got to work for.
Well, there's three. I was gonna say two. There's three conference capitals. Y'all know what they are. Y'all know what they are. The three conference capitals. You got Atlanta, because that's the Black financial literacy, Black women's, Black whatever, everything. Atlanta. What's the second one? Vegas. That's where all the conferences are. Yeah, all the hotels.
Vegas,
Oh,
yeah.
Vegas. Okay, I can see
What's
that. I can see
third?
Vegas.
This one I just thought about. Florida.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, I
probably
can see that.
because all the hotels, right? There's just a lot of accommodation, for like a lot of hotels. But I would say like Atlanta, if you black and you having a conference, Atlanta is where you want to be. Shoot, we were gonna have all black national. Well, we've had ABNC in Atlanta before, but we were gonna have it in New York. New York is too damn expensive. We can't even have it in New York, so we got to have it on the outskirts in damn New Jersey because everywhere else is expensive. And so Atlanta's still one of those places where it's still relatively affordable. You still have a lot of hotels, you have accommodations, and black people gonna come. You know, but let's go over to some stats, y'all.
I
Black
can.
Americans,
Oh,
huh?
okay. Oh, you got you. Do you have some? I was gonna say I can read some too. Go ahead.
All right,
You
go ahead,
got
go ahead.
it.
No, no, no.
You okay? Hold on. Let me see.
Go
Let
ahead.
me let me go to my stats page. Okay. So obviously we know this. Black buying power is 2.1 trillion dollars. Black Americans' buying power has grown about 2.4 times since 2000 and is projected at roughly 2.1 trillion in 2026. More than half of Black America is under 35. About 52% of Black Americans are younger than 35, making Black consumers especially influential in the digital era, culture, and emerging consumer trends. Black-owned employers, Black-owned employer businesses remain dramatically unrepresented. The Census Bureau counted about 5.9 million employer firms in the U.S., and its 2023 annual business survey. Minority owned businesses collectively represent 22.6 of those firms, while census data shows Black entrepreneur remains only a small fraction of U.S. employer businesses. That's the stats for today.
I was thinking about that because I got a reel that I'm doing for the states with the top black businesses. So that actually is in alignment with one of the things. But the thing I don't understand is if black people have $2 trillion of spending power, and we're spending money, and we are the blueprint, we are the culture, we are everything, Marlo. Why do black people want to dis? And I know if I'm probably saying it, asking it another way, I just don't understand. I cram to understand
Listen, like a
why
test.
why black people want to disassociate themselves with something that I think is so brilliant. I think that even the black billionaires, right? You have your Oprah, you have your Robert Smith, you have all these, you have Bob Johnson is probably one of the only ones who became a billionaire off of specifically a black product, right? But everybody else, they were able to get rich being more mainstream. Why can't they be the first ones who do cross over to that billionaire threshold on black culture? Why do people feel like they need to cross over?
You know what's interesting? As you laid out that lineup of black billionaires, right? The only other one I could think of is Tyler Perry. So Bob Johnson and Tyler Perry both did the same thing in different ways. But what is the core of their business? It's entertainment. Like, so I feel like, can you be a black retailer and grow the size of Macy's? I don't know, right? Does Beyonce need to be singing in your stores, right? Does Mary J. Blige need to sing your jingle? You done spent so much money before you sold a pair of jeans. It definitely goes back to the programming, but you laying it out and actually name dropping the only other person with that status I could think of is another person that's built their money through entertainment. So Jay-Z has a line, all us blacks got is sports and entertainment, and it looks like that's it. It looks like that's kind of where we are at. Oh, and then Magic Johnson, whose monies are in sports, right? He made money in sports and then he reinvested money in sports and entertainment. So I think that the consumer base, I don't want to say we need to mature. I don't. That seems harsh to say you need to grow up how you spending your money or how you investing your money, but that's what it looks like because the people that are making the big bank. I mean, even Oprah made all that money, coming into people's TV into people's TVs, right? Into people's homes through their TVs, and whisper in other folks' business. So I mean, like, when we look at it in the grand scheme of things, right? I don't know a Black grocer. I don't know a Black billionaire that has created a product or a business that has a mutual benefit to the community. Like, I cannot. Now I'm at a loss, Constance. I can't. I ain't got nothing for you.
We thinking about it. We thinking. We thinking. It might. Um.
Carry the one.
Carry the one. You know what's interesting about what you're saying, Marlo, is you're absolutely right, but it's so interesting because we've done shows on this platform about how our youth, and I don't know what generation that is right now, generation whatever, our kids, those children are gravitating more towards finance and money. So I think in the future that may be the cause. If that stat said that half of Black America, 52% of Black America is 35 and under. I feel like the kids are definitely the future, and I think they'll show us a different pathway, because we what we've learned is kids aren't seeing sports and entertainment as a pathway to making money. They're seeing financial literacy and wealth as a way. So I think that's interesting.
I think it's spot on, because you got to think about, so this is the reason why history is so important, because if you understand where we've been, you understand where we are, and you can really understand how to navigate where we're going. And what you said, I think, is so poignant about, I didn't even realize that 52% of our community was, you said 35 and under.
35 and under.
So that's interesting. And so you got to think about, in the 50s, and so you have emancipation, Reconstruction. Where were we? We had more land back then. A lot of our land got stolen, but we had more land, but we didn't have the financial literacy. We barely had literacy to be able to read. Black people weren't able to be in certain careers and have certain ownership of certain things. And then when we did, it was a lot of times taken away. So then you have integration, where we did have more businesses because we have more people to serve. And when you think about, was integration really, what was the cost of us integrating into this burning house? What happened to Black businesses? What happened to all the things? So had we had integration, we may have been a little bit further off, because we had to do things out of necessity. Then when we gave up our power, the integration didn't go both ways. We integrated over to them. They didn't integrate to us. They didn't come to our schools. They fired our teachers, our principals. They didn't come to our businesses. They didn't come to our hotels. All our shit shut down. So then we no longer had to do business with one another. We stopped doing business with one another. And so it's kind of like we're starting over. So we just really, you have the 400-year head start, and we have us the last 50 years where we're starting to get into home ownership and business ownership and all of those things. So now it does make sense where half of our community is 35 and younger. Now we're being exposed to a lot more. The world is a lot smaller because we do have the internet. They didn't fuck around and gave us the internet. So now we have access to things that we didn't have access to prior. When you look at the Jewish community, they said there's a few things that they do. I already said they said they don't do business with anybody unless they are Jewish. The other thing is they sit down and they talk to their children about business, about home ownership. The expectation is that they're going to be business owners. We're not having these conversations with our children, mostly, and our parents didn't, mostly because they didn't know nothing about it. They didn't know nothing about having good credit and having businesses and things like that. So I do think that there is a transition, and this is probably prime time for, an earn your leisure to have this influence over these younger kids, because now we're starting to have this awareness in our communities, which I think is great. So I think you guys are spot on in saying that.
And I think I love what you said about integration, though. I take my answer back from earlier. I think that was when we started. You asked, like, why, God darn it, you asked why we can sometimes look over and be like, these Black people ain't doing nothing. I just feel like it's that moment, right? Because before that, we did honor each other's businesses. We did support one another in a way. We didn't have a choice, right? So take away that choice. Now, that's when we learned that white ice was colder. and it was better to be associated with the white man and all of that. So I blame integration.
Hey, integration is in racism. I'm telling you, Malcolm X was definitely before his time because he spoke on some truths that Negroes need to hear in 2026. You heard me. But while you're on that, Miss Black Hollywood, give us your final thought.
Yeah, overall, this was a great conversation. It's so good to see my sisters again, y'all. I'm so glad to see y'all. I missed y'all. I love y'all the most. Also with our audience, what's up, y'all? We appreciate you for coming through like you always do. We missed you too. We know that you missed us. We missed you too. My final thoughts are this. There's nothing wrong with being associated with black people. There's nothing wrong with serving black people. Actually, I feel like that's the blueprint. I read a book called An Empire of Their Own, talking about how Jewish people invented Hollywood. And to me, it was like, at the time, and I'm going to keep it really easy, at the time, people didn't see the Jewish population like they see them now, right? Through picture movies, Jewish people started putting themselves in all of these different spaces as doctors and lawyers and business owners, things that they were not doing during that time. And white people hated it. They hated seeing them. They was like, this is blasphemous. Jewish people, that's not what they're doing. 120 years later, 100 years later, you can't think of a Jewish person without thinking about success. And so that's why I named myself Miss Black Hollywood, because I said, what if we took the same approach? What if 100 years ago you can access this video and know, hey, this has influenced me. This is what we were doing 100 years ago. And I think there's a difference, but I think there's something about being able to see yourselves doing well, to inspire the next generation. And I believe that's the reason why we do it. But I really want to challenge us all to not have an issue with one another. 9 times out of 10, I know my sisters right here are smarter than, it ain't colder on the other side. Like, I would rather come to my sis and I'd rather come and see what they say rather than going to another group of people to see what they say. So I just think we all need to keep that energy. I love y'all the most. If you're looking for me, I'm at Miss Black Hollywood across all platforms. I'm working on content creation. I'm done with I had surgery 2 months ago, and I'm back. So I can't wait to just get back to it. And I'm so glad to see you all. Thank you. I muted you. I'm sorry.
Thank you, sis. What about you, Miss Marlowe?
So I think we've said everything that could be said today. I feel like we covered history, we covered the social. It ain't too much left for me to say except love yourself. I cannot look at Tiara, I cannot look at Constance and not see me. So I love them because I love me. And that's how we have to start moving about the cabin as Black people. I know y'all see the hostility. I know y'all see the undertone of racism is bubbling up. If you don't go to Constance's page, she be posting them fools in her DMs on a regular outnum. And we need each other, right? Humans as a species are communal. Black people as a subsect of that species are communal. We are familial and we need each other. And as long as you rocking with rugged individualism and you don't think that you need a community, I don't know what to tell you, friend. You're going to be out here ass out. Don't call the community when you get in trouble, though, because we ain't going to answer the phone. If you are looking for me, I don't have my Instagram tag on here, but I'm Olram Marlowe. I'm also on Substack. Y'all know I'm a journalist. I cannot say what I want to say on them folks' platforms. So I go to Substack and I say what needs to be said in real time. So that's it for me. And my Substack is also Olram Marlowe. You can follow me for free, get a little free subscription, or you could drop your girl some coins, right, and get a little extras. Either way, it don't matter. I just want you to get this information because much like Miss Black Hollywood and Monique, I love y'all for real.
And that's her name, forward, backwards, and forward. So just so you know that, because it's hard to understand. Go ahead.
I'm trying to see where Marlo Lacin, what?
It's her name. It's her name backwards and forward.
So it's
Olam Marlowe.
Marlowe forward. Yes, Marlowe backward, then Marlowe forward.
Yes.
Oh, oh,
Oh.
OLRAMMARLA.
Why she don't just say just the? I don't know. I don't.
It's on there.
I know. But hey, listen, black people are the blueprint, and just like you said, that African proverb: if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, you got to go together. We need each other to survive, y'all. I just believe that black culture has never, ever, ever, ever been too small for this world. The world consumes our music, y'all, our clothes. They copy our style. They adopt our language. They get our swag. They get the profits from our creativity every single day. So why does black culture suddenly become limiting when black people own the businesses, right? When black people control the money? Why is it a limitation when we do it, but when everybody else does it, it's cool? A company can be unapologetically black and still serve anybody who values what it offers. I was in a black bookstore yesterday, and shout out to this young brother who has these t-shirts. I bought this t-shirt, Protect Black Women. I was walking by the Mahogany bookstore yesterday and I mean it's thick too, in National Harbor, and there was this brother, and he has these t-shirts are very thick. I paid $80 for it, but it was well worth it. And beautiful community brother. But I was in the bookstore before I went there, Mahogany Books, and there was everybody in there. It is a book. It says this is for black people, but everybody was in there buying black books. So just because it's for black people, it doesn't mean it excludes anybody else. We can still serve everybody, and it still offers value. Being rooted in black culture does not make a business small. Lack of capital, access to capital, all that is the problem, and it makes it harder to scale. But we are the blueprint. We can get everything that we need from each other. Black businesses, we don't have to erase who we are to become global. I promise you that. We need to stop treating black ownership like it's limiting and start recognizing it for what it is. It's innovation. It's economic power. It's an opportunity to build institutions that can really service our community. We really can compete on a national and a worldwide basis if we really believed in us. And that's what we got to start doing, y'all. We got to start believing that we are valuable enough to be unapologetically black. That's it. Those are my final thoughts. So listen, we come on every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
No.
Fridays a week?
No. You can find us here 3 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday.
I ain't even, why you steal my days? Those are the days I'm online too. Okay. So I think what makes this conversation interesting is that there doesn't necessarily have to be a choice between serving black people and building something that reaches the world. A business can understand its core audience. They can celebrate the community that supports it and still welcome anybody who sees value in what it offers. Growth does not have to mean abandoning the people who helped you get there, y'all. And being rooted in black culture doesn't automatically mean your business has to remain small. Maybe the bigger challenge is changing the way we think about the label itself. When we hear black businesses, we should not automatically hear niche. We should be able to hear ownership, innovation, economic power, and an opportunity to build something that can compete anywhere. You know what? My girl wrote that. That's the shit right there. That's it. All right. So we will see you on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday.
Yeah.
Same bad time, same bad channel. Listen, if you missed it, rewind this shit, because we had a really, really great conversation about black businesses being limited when we are black, when we call ourselves black owned. What is your opinion? Put your opinions in the comments. Is it limiting when we recognize a black owned business as black owned? Or is it something that we can really build wealth from? What are your thoughts? See you tomorrow.